Welcome to Hashtag Narrative, a Football Manager podcast where we sit around the virtual campfire and recant stories from past saves. Now, unfortunately, we have no Kev. He has Sprog-related duties to take care of, but we have the absolute delight of showcasing our first non-Football Manager content creator on the channel. He's been here before, and now he's here actually in person. Ellis, away days, however you wish to introduce yourself, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Obviously, we know that because we spoke a bit before we started recording, but
Stop ruining that fourth wall. Don't get them to him. They like to think that, oh, he's magically here by, I don't know, internet or something, rather than, thing is, last week I ruined it by completely ripping down the fourth wall, and now I've got to sort of slowly build it back up brick by brick because I'm an idiot and forgot to tell someone to record it. But there you go. Mistakes were made, that's all we need to say.
Who will build their wall up first, you or Trump? That's the question.
I don't have as much legislation and red tape to get through, so answers on a postcard for that one, I think. They may be YouTube poll. Let's make use of that new functionality because no one else does. Who would build a wall quicker, me or Trump? Yeah, I think that's... Yeah. Let's steer away from politicalness because, yeah, it doesn't go down well, I don't think.
No, never. No one wins from political correctness. Or incorrectness. One of the two.
Or politics, full stop. No one wins. Everyone's a loser. It's the same as when you try and discuss religion or anything related to do with like actual opinion. Everyone just loses their absolute minds over that.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I don't discriminate. I just hate everything. So it's
fair enough.
Anyway, enough tangents. Shall we move on? And this is weird because you don't have what. I know you play Football Manager, or else I wouldn't have sort of approached you to guest star. But it's weird speaking to someone who you don't see their content every day, and so I am completely unknown to what saves you had. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion and seeing how it transpires, really, to be honest. So I know you're a bit younger than perhaps most that will have featured on this channel so far, bar Dave Has a Party. He is about 12 years old. So... so your history with Football Manager might be a bit fleeting, but anyway, obvious first question is when did Football Manager first captivate your attention, and which was your first game that captivated it?
It was Champ Manager back in the day. I remember it was Game Station at the time. I always wanted a Football Manager game to manage Leeds. It's the year we got relegated from the Championship, so God knows how many years ago that was. We got relegated in...
Is that 04? Is that right?
06, 07? No, we got relegated from the Prem in 04.
Oh, right. Okay.
Championship in 06, 07 season, I believe. Or either that or the 07, 08. So I got it, loaded it up, was completely confused by it and never played it again. And then it wasn't until FM Handheld on the first FM Handheld 10 was the one. I managed Leighton Orient, got sacked and went to Crewe, and then took them to the Premier League. God, sorry, I haven't been sacked.
No, it's all gone now. It's all done. You've ruined it. Right, let's start again. Carry on. Sorry, I shouldn't
and the first FM PC I had was FM 11. So, yeah, it's not a massive history, but since I've had it, I've been addicted.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. Okay, so take us through your most favouritist save ever. It can be, well, it's not going to be on YouTube because that's not what you do. This is a weird thing. That's what I normally have after that question. But anyway, what is your most favouritist save and why?
It would be a save I started on FM 15. The whole summer I had no ties for the summer. I was after my first year of college, and I was staying at my mum's house, so I had my computer there. And me and my friend Lewis had a network save in Malta. So I started the save before he joined it, so I just wanted it as a solo save. I never really get far into saves. If you find that one save, then you carry on with it. Usually I won't even get past the first transfer window. But I got into the save, and then I got to the Europa League first season accidentally by holidaying past it because I didn't think I'd get Europa League, so I just holidayed it and then got to the season start and knew it. And Lewis was like, I'll get involved in this then. So I managed a team called Valletta. He managed a team called Bikirica. I think that's how you spell it. The team that took West Ham to penalties in the Europa League a few years ago.
Right, okay.
And they had Fabrizio Micheli playing for them. So we had this save, and it just went on for so long, literally ridiculous amount of time. think we had like 40 seasons on it.
Dear Lord, for a network save, that's insane.
Yeah, I know exactly.
How did that? I know I'm asking questions I should normally ask, but how did that run on a network? Because 40 seasons worth of data is a lot, and like it tends to chug on a lot of data locally. So I can only imagine what that's like on a network.
It would get to the point where it got to the point after about 15 seasons where because obviously we'd be the two most dominant teams in the league. We'd holiday the season. Whoever won the league, I was pretty much dominant in the league, so I'd always win the league. Lewis would always come second. So we just holiday the league, then play Europe.
Right. Okay.
So that took ages anyway. So we'd stop at the transfer window for January, sign players, then loan them out to make sure they got Maltese citizenship or whatnot. And then we just spend like hours scouting Brazil and Argentina at the end of the season to get players in, like a ridiculous amount of time. And then we'd holiday again. I got to the European group stages for the first time. And then it was a ridiculous save. And then it ended in the same season. I won the Europa League, and then I won the UEFA Cup, Winners' Cup the next year. And then the next season I got to the Champions League semi-final against Lewis. He beat me and then won the Champions League. And that's where we decided to end it. We were like, we're just going to end it when one of us wins the Champions League. So he won it with a Maltese team, pretty much full of Argentinian and Brazilian players.
That's still quite a feat, though, to be able to actually bring them to Malta and keep them there for long enough.
Yeah, that was the problem for the first few years of the save. We'd get these players, and then they just go. They'd just all clear off. So we'd end up loaning players tactically to other teams to make sure they wouldn't then leave. But it was a stressful save, but it was worth it. It's the only save I've ever actually, I'd say, completed. Yeah, if that's the right word you'd use for it. But yeah, it was a.
Can make Football Manager. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
That is commitment. I have to say for a network save. I mean, I've played network saves, particularly in fact in a similar part of my life as you had. No ties to anything in the summer. It was from a dugout forum. I think, or something like that. I just signed up for a random network save. It was League 2. In fact, it may have been Conference, trying to get into League 2. And I got into League 2 with Accrington Stanley with some ridiculous 3-5-2 tactic. Last day of this, I think it was the playoffs, playing against one of the other guys and managed to get promoted. But then we didn't carry it on past that season. So we literally played a season, the playoffs, and then I think it was because the guy who arranged it didn't get promoted, so he binned it off. But
so, yeah, they're the worst people.
Yes. Basically, people who take their ball and run home with it. So, not a pleasant experience. Did you have any sort of favourite players or standout transfers or anything? I mean, you've mentioned a lot of like Argentinian and Brazilians, but none specifically. Was there any of those sort of regens that really stood out for you, or were there any real players that you managed to sort of build up and perhaps were an unexpected success or anything like that?
I had two fullbacks when I got the UEFA Cup. Both were called Juliano from Brazil, and they were both the same age, but they weren't related to each other. So they were pretty much the standout players I remember. And then there was Hachim Mastor. I spent the whole save trying to sign him because obviously he could have been a wonder kid on the last FM, who sort of at that stage where he could have been, but he wasn't, and then he never developed because he was loaned out to Malaga. No, mate, he wasn't loaned out to Malaga that year. He was just basically, he wouldn't develop because he was AC Milan and he wouldn't get game time, but they had him as a wonder kid tag because of YouTube videos and what. So I brought him here, and then he ended up somewhere in Qatar, I think, when I got rid of him. But yeah, that was the real life player who I had ties to in the save.
I don't like it when wonder kids don't seem to reach their potential because they get wasted by AI teams.
Exactly.
It gets really annoying because I'm as you know, I'm with Recreativo at the moment, and I see so many players that could have been something. In fact, I even read an article today. I think it was a Squawker article. It was very poorly spelt, I will say, in places. In fact, the first sentence they misspelt a word or used the incorrect derivative, but we're getting too technical anyway. But it was about Ajax wonder kids that had failed to make any impact on football post Ajax. Basically, they made a big Hedrigs Majoro was a big one who had a huge future ahead of him. Moved to Valencia and then nothing happened, and injuries got in the way and stuff like that. And like Ryan Babel, that sort of those sorts of players that are reasonably big names and certainly were on Football Manager, but then nothing really came from it. I mean, you could argue, I suppose, that Rafael van der Vaart, he made questionable moves. Like he went from like Ajax to Hamburg, and at a point where Hamburg weren't a particularly strong force in Europe or anything like that. It was a bit of a bizarre move when he had a lot of other options on the table. Well, he went to Real Madrid, but then he didn't really do much there either.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, he was whether that's down to the player, whether that's down to the club as well. You know, a combination of all those things, sort of culminating in him not achieving his sort of perceived potential, quote unquote. But I mean, really, people who watch football, particularly in England, will have only known of him because of his time at Spurs.
Yeah, exactly.
So whereas he was, when he first came on the scene, people thought he was going to be an absolute world beater, and he will be like in the forefront of European football minimum for however many years. I mean, he's closing in on retirement now, which depresses me immensely. Whereas you're of an age where he was perhaps, well, I think, I don't know how old you would have been when he was at Spurs, but he's one of those sort of players I think that kids may have idolised because of. He was a slow, but he was a flair player. He had an eye for a spectacular goal, but he could thread a pass. But that was at a point when Spurs were transitioning as a side, and it was just before Bale really set off.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
That absolutely standout season. But yeah, I don't really know how your generation. I say your generation. There's not a massive age gap between us, but I don't know how you would perceive that as a sort of because I'd presume you would have been at school at that point. How you'd have perceived him as opposed to me, who's an adult watching football sort of week in, week out. I don't know how people of your age at that time and younger would have sort of seen a player of the sort of the Van der Vaart mould, I suppose.
He was a good player, not a great player. Is how I perceived him. He had one season when he first joined Spurs and was like, oh, Harry Redknapp, he's done it again, or with the fact that he was so cheap and whatever. But I couldn't really tell you too much after that.
No, I would agree. He was a bit of a match of the day player, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
He plays for he like Junior Hoylett is the epitome of a match of the day player. Like you can pick out highlights of his career and he looks outstanding. Anything else, he's at a dross. He's the most lazy player I've ever seen since Benny McCarthy. And Benny McCarthy once had his Opta stats prove that Brad Friedel made more movement than he did in an entire game.
I liked Benny McCarthy. Not because he was good at football, but just because he was just Benny McCarthy. He was a bit chubby. And I sort of idolised that.
Gives hope to everyone else that's maybe a little bit overweight.
Yeah, exactly. Good old Benny McCarthy.
The thing is, he was fantastic until he had his head turned by Chelsea when he was at Blackburn, and that was it. He was done, and then he's been done ever since. And then he's just
he went to Kaiser Chiefs, didn't he?
He went to West Ham after Blackburn, and we somehow got 2.5 million for him. They are insane. No wonder they were in such financial ruin at one point, because they were worse than Leeds for spending stupid money.
Yeah.
I had to get a shot in there, sorry.
Yeah. To be a Leeds fan.
Oh, I. To be fair, I'm a Blackburn fan. I know what it's like to have awful owners. Although, to be fair, Peter Ridsdale, Jesus Christ, how many more football clubs is he going to be allowed to ruin?
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous.
This fit and proper test. Seriously, it's how does he pass it? Is that is the epitome of like no point in there being one, because he's ruined Leeds. He did similar things at Barnsley, Cardiff. Didn't he have something to do with Sheffield Wednesday at one point as well? Like you're just doing a tour of Yorkshire, just shitting everywhere.
Yeah,
absolutely ludicrous. Anyway, we'll get back to Football Manager now. I've finished my sort of micro rant about everything. I don't know why I went into that, to be honest, but there you go. So,
good old Peter Ridsdale.
Yeah, well, bell end. Shots, absolute shots, and I don't even care. Sue me. You ain't got any bloody money anyway, so just takes out of football clubs. I've got to stop because defamation of character suits coming my way probably. Anyway,
Peter Ridsdale will be all over this.
He will. He'll be looking for a quick buck, won't he?
Yeah. Typical Peter.
It's like we know him.
Yeah.
On past experience, we know what you like, Peter. We're fully expecting it. Anyway, back on track. This Maltese mega save. That's what I'm going to refer to it as. Would you be ever tempted to go back to doing that or something similar to that?
We attempted it last FM with Scotland, and we got to nearly the same point. I managed some Motherwell to start with, and he managed Hamilton. And for the first season, he did well, and I didn't do so well. Maybe I got sacked, maybe I didn't, and then I moved to St Johnstone. And then for ages, we just had this one save, and it ended. The best we got to was a Champions League semi-final. I was 4-0 up against Arsenal in the first leg, and then lost 5-4 in the second overall. So I lost 5-0 away. So that's pretty much that save. And then my laptop exploded, so we lost the save.
Oh, nightmare!
Yeah.
Oh, have you had any other experiences like that where your sort of save has been cut short by technical woes?
My lead save I just had. I had Christian Pulisic. I loaned him 5 seasons straight, and then bought him for 22 million. And then I lost it because I just had to sell my laptop, and I forgot to put the file onto another SD card or whatever. So that one's gone. So that's a few saves, but most saves I struggle to get into, really.
Why do you think that is? Is it like time, or just that the game doesn't quite captivate you like it used to?
I don't know. I get really excited to start a save, then I kick it, and I'm like, oh, and that's it. And like I look at the squad, like I always get to start a Sassuolo save or Sassuolo, the team with Domenico Berardi, because of him. And then I get there and I'm like, oh, but he's a bit good. I like to get the Wonder Kids in before they're good. And then I just don't start it. It's a repetitive cycle.
I've been like that myself in the past, and I think I just sort of think, right, I'm here for a season, I need to at least persevere, and then I end up falling in love with a player, and that's what keeps me there. Or you get one, like maybe in your youth intake for that year, that captures your eye, and you want to try and bring him into the first team a bit too quickly, just so that you can get him as good as he could possibly get, as quickly as he could possibly get, and make him a little like pet project and all that sort of stuff. Really, I mean, I don't know what this is a question which I wouldn't normally ask others because I can see how they play. But what would your sort of usual? Do you have like a default formation that you would go for, or a particular approach? Do you like look at Foot Manager as if I was a real life manager, this is how I would play, or do you try and game it a bit and just do what works?
I start every save 4-2-3-1 attacking fluid, and then I sign Elie Yuan from Nantes, FC Nantes. In probably specify that it's a French team. They're not called Nantes. They are FC Nantes. So Nantes.
Thank you. I was gonna spell it phonetically, but you beat me to it.
Yeah. So I signed Elie Yuan, and he is just my favourite player in the game. Wherever I manage, wherever I go, I have to have him.
Oh, it's like a baby with his blankie.
He is. He starts off as a poacher, then after 2 seasons, he just becomes a complete forward without having any familiarity there, and he's just incredible.
I like that. So basically, you start off with a base formation, and then all of a sudden it becomes a monster formation because of this monster player.
Exactly.
I like that logic. That sounds good. Right.
Yeah.
We're going to end on our sort of our usual sour note, but you've already answered it anyway. But you can embellish us with a bit more detail.
Yeah.
So, have you ever been sacked?
Virtually every save I've ever had.
At least you've manned up to it and you've owned it.
Yeah. Well, it's the problem with the 4-2-3-1 attack. I manage if I'm going to manage a League 2 and I'm managing a poor side, I'm like, well, why isn't this working?
Because I'm going balls to the wall attacking and don't realise until after the fact.
But what you find is in normal. This isn't to the question. I'm just getting sidetracked. But in a normal game, in the league, attacking might not work. But in Europe, if you attack a team, you win. That's what I find. It's ridiculously odd. But just try it if you haven't. Just go attacking against any team in Europe and you'll beat them. Not any team, but if you've got if it's like a championship team and it's a Premier League team, and that's just the sort of level you're looking at in Europe. So say you're like Rangers against, I don't know, Villarreal, for whatever reason. If you go attacking, then I find 8 times out of 10 I beat them. So 4 to 5 odds.
Tips with Ellis here.
Yeah, exactly.
How to handle Europe.
Yeah, I'm really good at managing in Europe, and I'm crap at managing the league. That's me.
So basically, you're Claudio Ranieri at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. But I rarely win a league title.
Well, you could argue that he's going to have his one, and that's it.
Yeah, he's one and done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that Leicester look like they might be a slightly more spectacularly sort of winning and then getting relegated from the Premiership in successive seasons, which kind of gives Blackburn a bit of breathing space because it took them 5 years to win it and then get relegated. So
yeah, that's fair enough.
So hopefully they do go down purely for that selfish fact. But yeah, so you got relegated from Leyton Orient. Was the situation sort of similar? You just went stupidly attacking and that was it?
That was the first save I got sacked from. It was League One, I think, Leyton Orient were at the time. I started to save with them. And I didn't realise, because it was my first save really, and FM handheld works differently. Not too much differently, so I don't know why I thought this, but if a player, they have their potential based on the league and the level of the club, and so many variables. I saw a player, every time a player had 5-star potential, I assumed they were good enough to beat. They were essentially Wonder Kid in my eyes. So 5-star potential was 5-star for every league. And I just signed loads of players thinking that was the case. And it just went so wrong.
We live and learn.
Yeah. But that was it. I forgot who it was. There was one of them, he's now in non-league for like Altrincham, something like that. He was at Sheffield United. And that was pretty much it. He's at Sheffield United.
But,
Joe Ironside.
Oh, right. Okay.
He was the one. Yeah, I'd sign him, and I'd sign... Who's the one at Man United who is injured? I think Sunderland signed him. We're going to sign him.
Signed basically every United reserve youth player.
Will Keane. He was the one. Will Keane.
He does turn out to be quite good on some games, though. I'm not sure. Again, he's a player that I think if he's played, he turns into something quite special. But he ends up getting loaned out to championship sides for pretty much the first 5 seasons, and then he gets released. And so he never gets a chance to play at the highest level, and so never reaches his potential because of that, I think. But I think he's perhaps not quite ready at the start of the game to be sort of just thrown in. And
have you...
Sorry, you carry on.
No, it wasn't even relevant to him. I'm sorry, I just get sidetracked. Carry on.
It's fine. Tangents are good. I like tangents. Ask your tangent.
Have you seen how good Lewis Cook is on this year's save?
I haven't. I have tried to sign him on a save. I cannot mention which, but I have tried to sign him on. But Bournemouth want insane amounts of money for him. I
think he's the best wonder kid in England on the game. English wonder kid. Sorry, I think a site actually has him down as the best English wonder kid.
That might be why they wanted like 32 million for him. Then they wanted more for him than Everton wanted for Ross Barkley. Insanity.
He is very good.
He is good, but insanely expensive. In fact, I think it's just youngsters in England, full stop. And it probably parallels real life quite well, in all honesty, because that seems to be the case. You end up paying the player premium for signing a young English player. You're a man with opinions on football anyway, so this is quite nice that we have this little, I suppose, sort of sub-pot of questions, really, because it's quite... Some people like their little niches of football, but some of your videos about particularly like opinion pieces, quote unquote, I find them really quite interesting. Because it's from a football fan's perspective, as in you're a fan of football before a team, and it's quite rare to get a sort of semi-unbiased opinion. I mean, the reason why I say semi-unbiased is because no one is truly unbiased. You're biased towards your own opinion, but at least you've looked at all of the information available to you before you form that, rather than saying, oh, I support, West Brom, so I then hate Wolves, or something like that. You're quite objective about the whole thing.
Like for example, I support Leeds because my family's from Yorkshire, but therefore I'm supposed to hate Huddersfield and clubs like that. But I'm not there to experience the rivalry, so I'm like, yeah, I get this rival game for us is a big game. And also my video pieces, for example, the video on Claudio Ranieri, I focused on the negative side of it because that's where my overwhelming opinion was. If I was going to do both sides of opinion, then I could have done that. But my opinion is that it was that, so I wanted to make it all on that. Whereas some people were I get that everyone's going to have an opinion, I don't make it a video. Like, I don't know if you saw the one before I made about fan channels on YouTube.
I did.
That got quite
football Twitter
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, football Twitter one I got no hate on, which was surprising. But the fan channels one, the fan channels obviously took offence to it because it was about them. So like, and everyone was like, "Oh, are you shocked at this?" Like, no, they have the different opinion to me. That's why I made the video on it. But just no one ever called them out on it. And I think it's interesting. It's an interesting thing to have. Like, everyone, I'm not saying my opinion's better than anyone else's. Like, their opinion may have been better than mine, but that was just the one I believed in.
No, but you put it across very clearly, and that's that you say your arguments for it are not stupid and completely arbitrary, which is
and I think
which you know I'm going to use sort of similar example to you about football Twitter, and like Arsenal fans, they seem to just have literally no clue sometimes about what's actually going on.
Yeah, and that's it's sort of coming up more with what Gary Neville said. I don't mirror the opinion that it's embarrassing, but I think Gary Neville calling out Arsenal Fan TV was a bit of a shock to me because it was sort of similar to what I said about channels similar to that in the past. So it's weird to see other people have the same opinion because, I don't know, it's interesting. Like, everything's subjective. Everyone has a different opinion on it, and it's just, if I didn't share mine, then I wouldn't be who I am. Like, if you know what I mean, like, if I have an opinion on something, I'm often going to say it. So I did, and some people don't like that.
Well, that's just the way of the world. It's the same as anything. You know, your opinions are like the proverbial arsehole, and everyone has one.
Yeah, exactly.
But how you justify it and qualify it it shows how much integrity you have and how much you've actually researched the subject matter. Whereas someone will be asked a question about something and they'll just give them a stupid answer because they don't know anything about the subject. Like, I don't follow Blackburn perhaps as closely as I want to, but the reason why I don't is because we are playing so poorly at the moment that I just have no interest in wanting to be involved in that mess.
And the owners as well.
That's it. I had access to a season ticket, the final one of the final seasons we were in the Premiership, and I actually went up to Blackburn for, they had a ticket special. Bear in mind, I live a considerable distance away from Blackburn, and it's you know, this is pertinent because you have the same issue. Like, because of your content on YouTube, you have to travel to places, and so you appreciate more than anyone how much it can cost to travel to places.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Like, Blackburn is, from where I live, Blackburn's nearly 170 miles away. So that's a 3-hour drive. So it's not just money you're losing, it's time. I say losing, but like travel time, you can't do anything in that 3-hour sort of stretch of time. You've then got to, you know, through going there quite frequently when I was at uni, I know the best places to park, but you've still got to get there. And in all honesty, the ticket is the cheapest part of the day. Because like the travel,
exactly.
The food, everything like that, it all adds up. But I was there for the final 2 games of the season. We got relegated back down to the Championship, and it was woeful, absolutely woeful, because we had to beat Wigan to stay, or have a chance of staying up, and we didn't. And that was when the game when Yakubu collected the chicken or the rooster, whatever it was, that got released onto the pitch. I was at that game. It was just a bizarre thing, and then that ended with like about 5 fans getting on. Like, they were saying, "Oh, there'll be a pitch invasion after." 5 fans, one massive one, like they're just running after Steve Keane, throwing their season tickets. I mean, they're plastic wallets. Like, seriously, they're not going to hurt him. They're not even going to reach him. Most of them blew away. It's like, what are you playing at? Like, I understand getting angry about stuff, but there's sort of ways and means, and that's just being daft, in all honesty.
In your first season down, though, I think you messed up sacking Steve Keane. In the long run of things, you've probably got a completely different opinion of this to me, because weren't you just outside the playoffs when you sacked Steve Keane?
The thing is, it's not just it was more. It wasn't just
the whole
him
club.
As manager. It was just the mismanagement of the club entirely that really screwed us over. We signed players on overwhelmingly expensive contracts, knowing that we were struggling to stay up. Yet we still signed them. And then when we got relegated, we signed sort of the likes of Danny Murphy on exorbitant contracts to get him to play in the Championship.
Yeah,
and
I know what you mean.
Like, when they have no understanding about the financial implications of things, and which is why we're in the state we're in now. And it seems very much like they're just asset stripping at this point. They've sold all of the players of any worth we're signing players on frees or like short-term loan deals. We've barely signed anyone for a substantial amount in 2 seasons, and we're scraping by. And I think we're going to go down this season. I think it's quite obvious what's going to happen, and then we are at the lowest point we've been for a long time. I thought the worst Blackburn team I would ever see was going to be the one when we got relegated last time, when we had the likes of like Nathan Blake and Ashley Ward up front.
Yeah.
Now we've got an aging Danny Graham and whoever else they can find.
Is Anthony Stokes at you or not?
Yes, yeah, but
God,
he's struggled with injury and all sorts, suspension
and ability.
Yeah, yes, that as well. So I mean, I presume we're just preparing for a league life at League One.
Where you're at exactly the same point the Leeds were when we got relegated. Exactly the same point.
I mean,
we had worse
Kevin
finances
Blackwell right now, in all honesty.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's how bad it's got. I mean, Owen Coyle doing his tour of the Northwest, just going and ruining clubs. Does my head in. Absolutely does my head in. I'm going to get too angry in a minute, so we should probably call it. This is supposed to be about Football Manager, not general football, but this is sort of... You've actually turned into co-presenter, so you've actually done a really good job of doing that. So thank you for fulfilling that role almost by accident.
Can you even hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Did you hear what I was saying?
I didn't hear any of what you were saying. I heard a crackle.
It's sort of like, yeah.
I heard a crackle and I thought I should have waited, but I carried on.
Did you see it's sort of like a therapist session where I became the therapist asking you questions instead?
Yes, I thought it was quite nice. It's a good little. Yeah, I think I needed that little rant about the Rovers situation. It's
yeah,
because I'm in Spain at the moment. It's difficult to find links to it, and I just it ends up boiling up into this big fat mess of absolute rage. And if I want to be as angry as I want to be, this would not be worth listening to, because it would be just like lots of shouting and swearing and just general distorted microphoneness. So nobody really wants to listen to that. And also, it's quite a niche subject, like Championship football. Well, I say Championship, Upper League One football. It's not everyone is interested in it, but there you go. But yeah, I'm glad. So you carry on.
I'm sort of the right person to speak to about being interested in lower league football.
Exactly. This is why it works completely. And I mean,
yeah.
Have you ever seen Kettering Town play?
No.
Is it on the bucket list? It better be on the bucket list.
Every football club's on the bucket list. Every single one.
The thing is that they're a really well followed club, and I think it would be a particularly good away day. And if you ever need a companion, I don't live very far away. So just
okay. I'll message you when I'm due to go.
but be quick, because they'll soon be like not quite proper non-league, because they're doing all right at the moment. So.
Okay, I'll be sure to get there soon.
Right, we've rambled on enough. We'll do the nice little outro, and then. So, thank you very much for your time, Ellis, or away days. I'm not sure how you wanted to be referred to in this, to be honest, but where can people find you, and what are you currently doing?
Definitely refer to me as Ellis. I don't like being called away days. I on Twitter at Ellis_Platten, and then my YouTube channel is just away days, which that's my channel.
Excellent. Just in case there are people that aren't aware of what they do, I'm sure they will do, because they have to be daft not to watch it, because it's I really enjoy. It's one of my little guilty pleasures, I think, away from Football Manager. I mean, content creation takes time, as other content creators who are listening to this will know, as you yourself will appreciate.
Yeah.
But it's one thing I enjoy watching, is sort of just seeing, like, I don't have time necessarily to go to watch a game of football every week. I haven't been to watch a proper football match for nearly a year because of just general life. So being able to watch it vicariously through someone else's eyes is absolutely fantastic. and you do such a good job of presenting that content. So I just want to make sure
Thank you.
people are actually aware, and it's not just because I in fact, you approached me to come on here, so but the fact that but I wanted to have a public thanking of you and a service you provide to me by allowing busy people, I'm not implying that you're not busy, but people that can't get to football every week, that chance to see it through someone else's eyes.
Thank you.
So that's it. Thank you. After a big long sort of prose, Jesus Christ, what am I doing?
Oh yeah.
That was
well, thank you for the kind words.
Well, I don't want to force thank you. Jesus Christ, that's worse than just cheers. All right. Cash.
This has been hashtag narrative. Yeah, but carry on. It genuinely was nice what you said. I never know what to say to praise. Like, I get it, and like, I don't know. Like, I never know what to say because
don't treat it like a dog and go good boy or anything like that. That generally doesn't work. But no, I'm the same. I find it difficult to. I'm much better with accepting criticism than I am at accepting praise and someone saying good job, that was good, I enjoyed that. It's weird. In fact, I think as a general culture in the entire world, we're sort of almost expecting of constructive criticism or criticism full stop. Like the things like the Daily Mail, they condition everyone to think negatively about themselves or anything, and so I suppose compliments are sort of hard to come by and not the norm. But yeah, I just wanted to genuinely appreciate what the content you create, and obviously for coming on and sharing your time with me and this rather random, slightly Football Manager related discussion.
Yeah. Thanks for having me as well. I do enjoy the podcast, and it'll be refreshing to see me on it. No, not see me on it. Hear me on it. Although I do hate the sound of my own voice, so I'll just
it's quite a lovely
just have
voice.
to listen to you. Oh, thank you.
Anyway, we'll round it off there. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. If you are new to the channel, then please pop a like on this. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and why don't you have a snoop around and see if there's anything else that takes your fancy. But whatever you do, check out Alice's channel. Alice's, Jesus Christ, I'm just making up names for everyone now. Alice, it's my awful voice, you see. So enjoy that one. So don't forget, check out Ellis's channel. I implore you to do so, because if you don't, well, I'll send the boys around or something to find where people live.
I'll come round.
Yeah, Ellis or Alice, whichever. Maybe Alice would be more terrifying than Ellis. Who knows? Maybe that's your alter ego that comes out on Saturdays.
Yeah, have you seen Benidorm with the yeah, that's me.
Brilliant. Right, before this gets any more random, I think we'll end it there. It's goodbye from Ellis.
Oh, goodbye.
Oh, goodbye. It's goodbye from me. It would be goodbye from Robot Kev, but I can't bother to edit it in, so no goodbye from Robot Kev. Hopefully Kev will be back next week, though. Thank you all for your time. I'll speak to you soon. Adios.